Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.
Nigeria has opened a new office in Cairo, Egypt to provide visa application, passport, bank verification numbers and national identity number services in the country. Mr. Abdul Razak Musa, the Executive Assistant to the President on Nigeria-Egypt Cultural and Socio-Economic Forum, made this known in a statement made available to newsmen on Monday in Abuja. The center was opened as part of activities of the ongoing Nigeria-Egypt Trade Conference and Exhibition holding in Cairo, Egypt from October 10 to October 11. According to Musa, the center situated at 51 Michael Backham Street, Doki in Cairo will facilitate administrative tasks related to visa and passport applications, BVN and NIN enrollment services for Nigerians living in Egypt and the neighboring Arab countries wishing to travel to Nigeria. The Kogi State government has said that it has commenced an investigation into the cause of the fire incident that razed the State Assembly complex. The fire, which gutted the Assembly complex located at Krasha area Lokoja yesterday morning, ripped through the roof of the chamber, causing extensive damage to the floor of the house. The State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fawo, in a statement, said experts were currently working to unravel the cause. The sad occurrence happened in the early hours of Monday, October 10, 2022. The National Emergency Management Agency and the Disaster Response Unit of the military has commenced aerial view of the flooded communities in Anambra State. The exercise is to determine persons who are still trapped by the rising flood with a view to airlifting them out of the affected communities. The zonal coordinator of NEMA Southeast, Thickman Tanimu, who made this known yesterday, also disclosed that the presidency and the Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed Habib, commiserated with the state government and the flood victims, including the bereaved, with relief materials approved for the flood victims, and that the materials would be presented directly to them later today, Tuesday. The All Progressives Congress, the APC, has inaugurated the APC Womens Wing presidential campaign team. Report says the inauguration of the 944-member team will signal the official kickoff of the party's campaign. The women's team is expected to arrange and organize its own programs at the national, zonal, and state levels. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has flagged off its presidential campaign in Akwa Ibom State. The event took place at the Nest of Champions Stadium in Uyo, with dignitaries in the South State, including the party's presidential candidate and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, his running mate and Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, and Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel in attendance. However, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and his allies, including Abia State Governor Keze Piazu and Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, were absent. The People's Democratic Party, the PDP in Osun State, has reiterated its warning to the Governor Gboyega Oyetola-led government over the council elections slated for October 15. The parties asked the state government to drop the idea of going ahead with the scheduled council polls in the state, noting that the legally elected officials would not last beyond November 27 once Senator Demola Adeleke takes over. PDP, in a statement signed by its chairman, Dr. Akindele Adekunle, said the planned exercise by the APC government was a waste of scarce resources and a continuation of the party's ploy to throw the state into confusion. Meanwhile, APC has said it is going ahead with the polls, adding that campaigns would commence today, Tuesday, at the state party secretariat of Golua in Osogbo. The former governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosu, has dumped the governor of the state, Dapo Abiodun, for the governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Biyi Otegbeye, in the 2023 elections. Both Abiodun and Amosu are chieftains of the All Progressives Congress. Abiodun, who took over from Amosu in 2019, is seeking a second term in 2023 on the platform of the APC. Amosun's interview with the BBC Yoruba said he will be backing Otegbeye in the next election against Abiodun, while he pledged his support to the APC presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu. The lead counsel to the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, has dismissed reports that IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu would be in court today, October 11th, 2022. Ejiofor stated this in a statement he issued to newsmen in Owerri yesterday, saying that the rumor was the handiwork of mischief makers. The lawyer said he had to dismiss it because some market leaders in Onitsha and Anambra State had issued an order to shop owners to prepare for sit-at-home in solidarity with the IPOB leader, Kanu. You're still listening to the World News right here on Lagos Talks 91.3. Moving on to the foreign scene, doctors recruited from some of the world's poorest countries to work in the UK hospitals say they are being exploited and believe they are so overworked they fear putting patients' health at risk. A BBC investigation has found evidence that doctors from Nigeria are being recruited by a British healthcare company and expected to work in private hospitals under conditions not allowed in the National Health Service. NHS doctors can only be scheduled to work up to 48 hours and if they request up to 72 hours a week. But some doctors recruited from several other red list countries such as Ghana, Sudan, Pakistan and Bangladesh have lamented extreme hours of being on call 24 hours a day for a week at a time and unable to leave the hospital grounds. The British Medical Association BMA has described the situation as shocking and says the sector needs to be brought in line with the NHS working practices. The South African Police Service, SAPS, says a 21-year-old man will be charged with murder following the discovery of 6 bodies, 5 of them in an advanced state of decomposition in a building in the main city, Johannesburg. Report says the bodies were of 6 women. Police said they launched an investigation after complaints of a foul smell coming from one of the rooms in the building. According to the police statement, the body of a woman was first discovered in the building and her clothes matched the description of a woman reported missing earlier this month. Russia has been widely condemned after bombarding cities across Ukraine, including launching missile strikes on the center of Kyiv for the first time. Russian President Vladimir Putin said the attacks were retaliation for Saturday's explosion on a key bridge linking Russia to Crimea, and threatened more severe attacks against Ukraine, whose President Volodymyr Zelensky says the country cannot be intimidated. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday promised to provide advanced air defense systems to Ukraine, which says 83 missiles were launched by Russia, of which more than 43 were shot down, but left at least 14 persons killed. The U.S. claimed the brutal attacks had hit non-military targets, including a university and children's playground. In business news, Nigeria's falling crude revenues have forced NNPC Limited to defer payments to fuel importers for 3 months. This was disclosed in an interview by the NNPC Limited CEO, Mele Kyari, to Bloomberg on Monday. This comes as Nigeria increases its fight against crude oil theft, which has paralyzed the country's production capability. Kyari noted that the fuel trading companies NNPC has deferred payments to include Vitol, Total, Sahara Group and Oando. He added that NNPC swaps crude with international traders including Vitol Group and Total Energies SE, as well as domestic groups such as Sahara Group Limited and Oando PLC. However, as oil production dropped to less than 1.2 million barrels per day, local importers have been asked to permit payment delays of at least 90 days. Kyari added that the deal involves a longer credit period. In sport news, Brighton midfielder Enock Mwepu has been forced to retire from football at the age of 24 because of a hereditary heart condition. The Premier League club said Mwepu would be at an extremely high risk of suffering a potentially fatal cardiac event if he continued playing. Mwepu had recently fallen ill on a trip with the Zambia national team to Mali. He was unable to train after arriving in West Africa last month and spent 4 days in the hospital. Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa were forced to settle for a 1-1 draw at the City Ground, a result which does little to kickstart either of their seasons. Emmanuel Dennis opened the scoring for the hosts in the 15th minute, fueling hopes of an overdue win. But Ashley Young strikes 7 minutes later drew the visitors back on level terms. The result meant Villa stay 16th, while Forest move above Midlands rivals Leicester City into 19th. Atletico Madrid have resigned France forward Antoine Griezmann from Barcelona on a contract until 2026. Griezmann became the sixth most expensive player in history when he joined Barca for £108 million in 2019. He scored 35 goals in 102 games before returning to Atletico on a 2-year loan at the start of last season. The 31-year-old has 3 goals and 2 assists in 11 appearances so far this campaign, though only 3 of those appearances have been starts. Finally, in entertainment news, Rave of the Moment movie Anikulaquel by Kunle Afolayan maintained an impressive top 10 spot in over 5 countries, including the United Kingdom, Kenya, Nigeria and the Bahamas. And to cap the interest of its ardent viewers, the filmmaker has confirmed a spin-off series is in the works as pre-production will begin soon. In an Instagram live chat with members of the cast, Afolayan shared that the film was originally intended to be a series, but the Netflix film was created as an audience test. Anikulaquel, a Netflix original set in the ancient Oyo Empire, follows an ambitious man's quest for fame and fortune and stars Kunle Remi, Bimbo Ademoye, Shola Shibawale, among other film stars.
Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.
The revolution is here.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.